All right, we have to go backwards a little bit, but I forgot that we've never talked about this on the show.
Oh, the Psychomark.
In our time off, though, we've been quoting lines from this thing over and over again to each other. Ben thinks it's the funniest thing ever.
Oh, of course.
That was ever on TV. And if you know Psychomark, unfortunately for the new listeners, they don't know who Psychomark
Where
is
is
yet.
Psychomark these days?
He's being very responsible as he works for Fox.
Is he still at Fox?
Yes.
What does he do there?
Where's Ben?
Ben would know.
See, now here we got another guy doesn't mind the U2. That's the problem you get when you play music on your radio show. You know,
Ben.
We could play like Hank Williams Jr. and there'll be a ton of people going, all right, now the boys are talking, and then the other people will turn us off. So,
yeah.
You know, we understand that game when we go to music here and there.
Here comes Ben. He was just by the water machine, Opie, getting a little drink. There he is.
Trying to water down his hair. Keep it calm today. Ben.
Yes.
We're going to play the Psychomark.
That's hilarious. This is hilarious.
What is Psychomark doing these days?
He's producing Alan Combs' show with
is that what he does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He
Yes,
does. He's producing a radio show, and he also still works cameraman at Fox. No?
so, yeah.
Fox and Friends or one of those shows?
But this is hilarious because he's naming cities you guys weren't even on in. I remember when this happened, Opie called me and he's like, what the fuck is he doing? Yeah, he's way out of... He's saying how he knows the leader of the Catholic League, how he's a friend of his.
This was the first guy...
He just lost his mind.
Yeah, this was the first guy that was even remotely involved with the show that was talking. This was... When did this air?
This was the day after.
The day after we got fired.
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah,
whatever.
canceled,
at this
fired.
point, whatever.
It was a Friday. It was a Friday morning.
Yeah.
Because the thing happened on a Thursday.
So he was like the inside guy.
Well, because they were trying to get, it was such a big thing, the sex in St. Pat's, that they were trying to get anyone on their air.
Yeah.
They wanted us, obviously. They camped outside our residence for, I don't know, off and on for a couple weeks.
They wanted anybody involved with the show.
Anyone.
Steve, Rick, anybody.
Ben.
Yeah, anyone that was even
our
close.
Agent.
No one
people
was
that
talking.
work for Viacom.
No
one was talking except Psychomark gave the exclusive interview to Fox and Friends.
And they even goof on him a little bit at the beginning because he's wearing a suit, and he never wears a suit. He's like... They're goofing on the fact that he's clean and he's got to give the suit back to the guy he borrowed it from.
Right. I guess they pick him up. He was a regular employee. He would help us out, but he also worked for Fox and Friends. So he was like just a regular scumbag over at Fox and Friends. But he had the exclusive on the biggest story of the day.
Yeah.
So they treat him like a superstar. They made sure he had a suit. I think they even got him a limo that day to bring him to work.
Brushed his hair
and sent him down for the exclusive interview, the inside scoop on Opie and Anthony.
Wonderful.
This thing has made us laugh for the last 2 years. I don't know if you'll find it as funny as we do, but we'll stop it. You got to also remember, especially the new listeners, this guy is out of his freaking mind.
Oh, yeah, that's why he's called Psychomark.
But he was using his broadcast voice all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because this was a very serious day.
Yeah, he'd go from talking like this. Let me tell you how fucked up we were last night.
Yeah, he'll talk about the coloreds in Boston with this really bad voice, and then...
Yeah, the coloreds, they love keeping them in their own fucking area up there in Boston.
And then he's like, hey, how are you doing, guys?
Right, so...
I use the radio voice now.
Here's the audio. We'll stop it.
Unfortunately for a couple of guys who are making millions of dollars a year, Opie and Anthony in New York City, they were fired yesterday after a couple was caught having sex at St. Patrick's Cathedral, and it was all being broadcast on their radio show.
Joining us now with some exclusive details is a member of that cast, Mark Walsh, better known to Opie and Anthony, on those Opie and Anthony listeners as Psychomark.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Hi, guys.
Good to have me on.
How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Like he's a general talking about the war.
Right.
Thanks for having me on.
And like Jim Cook. And right after this interview, he went right behind the camera again and filmed Fox and Friends.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Wasn't he miking people back then?
Oh, that's what he was.
That's what his job was. He would put the little microphones on.
Thanks for having me on.
Before the interview.
Anthony, on those Opie and Anthony listeners as Psychomark.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Mark, it's a thrill to see you again, especially clean.
Thrilled to see you again.
Thrilled to see you
They see
again.
him every day as he's miking the guests.
He works with you.
He works with you idiot.
That'd be like me going, hey, Jimmy, thrilled to see you again.
Right.
Like, oh, he doesn't stop by very often, but good thing he's here today.
All kidding aside, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem.
They're making
no
it sound
problem.
like he's their expert for things in the media.
Yeah.
You know, he comes on from time
Good
to time.
to see you again.
Like you said, the war correspondent.
Yeah.
Especially clean.
Yeah, exactly. With a suit and everything.
I know. I didn't know you
I feel like a pundit, you know.
Give it back to John Scott at the end of the show. That's part of the deal.
Fair deal.
But Mark, let's talk seriously. What happened? Fred was the one, our producer, here to inform you about what happened. You've talked to Opie and Anthony since.
He did not.
He did not talk to
I'm
us.
watching this at home going, Mark did not talk to me.
No.
Mark didn't talk to Anthony.
Uh-uh.
Anthony and I pretty much shut off our cell phones and went into hiding.
Yeah.
My own mom and dad didn't talk to me.
No one talked.
No one talked to us.
And Psychomark
we were
was
pretty
not,
damn depressed about losing our careers. No one was talking to us.
Psychomark was not spoken to.
I didn't talk for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Did you hear the first line?
I've memorized this thing. It's so funny.
What happened? You've talked to Opie and Anthony since. What's their feeling about getting
Well, it was
canned?
a huge thing, needless to say. I mean, needless to say, the entire stunt was a bad thing.
Psychomark.
Wow, adding some real new information there. It was bad thing.
This is a guy that held up the C word on live TV for us, but all of a sudden he's going to throw us out to dry there.
Well, it was
I
a
guess out to
bad
dry.
thing.
Whenever you use the term needless to say twice in a row, you have nothing to say afterwards.
Needless to say, I have nothing to say, nothing to say.
Let it be known, we've never said this. He was the guy that held up the CUNT sign on live TV.
Yeah, that was him, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, he's also the guy that jumped on the front of the Voyeur bus and hung onto the windshield wipers as it drove down the street, pounding, "Let me in, let me in,"
and bragging that he hid an ounce of pot somewhere on the bus, so they had to take the bus apart.
Oh, when that
like ants take apart a grasshopper. That's what they did to the Voyeur bus because Psychomark was bragging that he hid an ounce on it.
Guys, they're arresting us right now. Yeah, they're arresting us, but I hid my pot in one of the seats. They'll never fucking find it. Oh, I gotta put on my smooth guy voice. The cops are coming.
This is the same guy. I mean, we love the guy. Trust me.
Oh, don't get us wrong.
We love the guy.
This guy's a pisser.
He does great radio for us, but this thing is unbelievable.
Here to inform you about what happened. You've talked to Opie and Anthony since. What's their feeling about getting
Well, it was
canned?
a huge thing, needless to say. I mean, needless to say, the entire stunt was a bad thing. What happened was entirely wrong. And the boys are very upset that it even happened.
The boys. The boys are very upset.
The boys. Oh, my God. The boys. It's like a father talking about his kids. The boys are very upset with what happened.
Well,
I won't do it again.
Needless to say, I mean, it was needless to say a bad thing. The entire stunt was entirely wrong. It's like, Jesus, they got 4 words he's saying.
He's beyond nervous, though. This is his big
what I'm
moment
saying
in the spotlight.
is needless.
Yeah, the boys are really, they knew they had to get the papers,
Needless to say, needless to say. What I'm saying is needless to say.
Yeah.
Ben, we're up to the
Entire.
part. The boys are very upset.
I know. I was listening to that. It's hilarious.
Oh, the boys.
It happened.
What was at stake here was a trip to the Sam Adams plant up in Massachusetts, and whoever got the most points would get the free trip, right?
Exactly.
And the way you get points is
You go around town, and the couples would engage in lewd acts in different places. So they.
All right, listen to me. And I just remembered something. Didn't he go with you that day?
What's that? Yeah.
He followed you that day with your couple.
Yeah.
So he was actually in there.
So far, he's got the facts straight, though, except the fact that he talked to you. The boys were upset.
Right. And the reason, by the way, needless to say, that he's working at Fox anyway is because he got fired from his job at WNEW. And why did he get fired? For the 2nd annual Sex for Sam contest, when he took his couple into our boss's office and made them have anal sex on the couch of our general manager while our program director was looking through the glass door going, "No, don't do that."
No.
And Psychomark spun his head around, looked at our program director, and said to his couple, "Guys, go for it."
Yeah, live on the air.
What was the program director doing besides instructing the girl how to relax before she took a cock in her ass?
You just won't let that go, that you didn't get your raise before you got fired. Wow. Anyway, so this is who they have on Fox and Friends. And here's our pal, but I think it's just hilarious.
In different places.
So they'd have sex in different places.
Exactly.
For points, and then someone picked the St. Patrick's Cathedral, and even with a 40-second delay,
Well, what
you guys aired it?
happened? What happened before the show was, and it was explained to everybody that took part in the show. Do not go to St. Patrick's Cathedral.
That is a flat out lie.
That's a lie, too.
We didn't even bring up the word St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Church was on the list.
Yeah.
We kind of told the people, you know, did we even tell them to steer clear of the churches? I don't think we did.
No, not really.
I think it was on the list, but we assumed
we were going to control it from where we sat.
Yeah, we
did a great job, didn't we?
We weren't going to take any calls from like a church, but
or if we did, we were going to play it in a way that we would have probably saved our asses.
Yeah, but when we plunked the phone line down and Paul Mercurio just said we're here at St. Pat's and they're doing the balloon knot, it was kind of too late.
No turning back.
Could have punched the dump button though.
All right, here's
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Here's more Psychomark. Two of my favorite things are still coming up.
Everybody that took part in the show, do not go to St. Patrick's Cathedral. This was told to all the participants before we even went on air that day, okay?
Can I just jump in real quick? I mean, any church. There was like 25 points that you could get for going into a church. Wouldn't you just think any church would blow people's
most
minds?
of the stuff that happens is it's radio. It's on air. It's a description. It's theater of the mind, so to speak.
So to speak.
He's an expert on radio.
Radio, it's theater of the mind, so to speak. So you have a theater and a mind, neither of which I'm in possession of at this moment.
What makes this funny, if you know Psychomark like we know.
What a tool. I love it. I love it.
How did you guys get Rod Serling to do an interview on your behalf?
Pitiful portrait
exactly
of a dumped duo.
Exactly.
Submitted for your approval, Opie and Anthony.
So to speak. In other words, those acts necessarily aren't really happening, but they are described as on the air.
Now, wait a minute. Are
what?
you saying
those acts aren't necessarily happening, but they are as described on the air.
Described as on the air.
Described as on the air.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Bling, bling, bling.
He's doing gymnastics with the English language.
Exactly.
What is he trying to say here?
So to speak. In other words, those acts necessarily aren't really happening, but they are described as on the air.
Now, wait a minute. Are you saying they didn't really have sex? Because the usher says the people were partially naked.
I'm not going to get into the...
If they wanted to do theater of the mind, they would have been in a car outside and said, we're inside the church, okay.
Well, what happened was there's a fail-safe system on the show. There's a 40-second delay that they use. In other words, they have up to 10 times to dump out of the show within 40 seconds. So if something gets aired that's inappropriate, there's an opportunity to take it off the show.
So why didn't they dump it?
Well, that's what happened. There's a whole chain of command, the system that works with the program director and the general manager.
Both suspended.
Well, they both have boxes in their office and are able to dump out of the show at any time. Now, they should have been on the post that afternoon monitoring the show. Now, these guys, it's Opie and Anthony. You know, you're not talking about, you don't go to them for news, weather,
This is not Paul Harvey.
Exactly. You don't tune into Fox for you know, dirty jokes.
He almost said dick
They're
jokes.
shock jocks.
Right.
So you got to stay on top of them all the time.
So you got to stay on top.
You gotta stay on top
Mark,
of
we
them.
spent half our time staying on top of you, you idiot.
Oh God. How he is portraying himself in this is really funny. He's coming off like he's the responsible guy.
The voice of reason.
Yeah,
a gentleman.
The voice of reason. And I'm sitting here in my suit, criticizing.
Exactly. You don't tune into Fox for you know, dirty jokes. They're shock jocks.
Right.
So you got to stay on top of them all the time.
So yesterday they got fired. The general manager and the program director have been suspended. Are they going to get canned too?
Most likely. And what happened is the formats will probably change at the station. You'll probably see a switch probably to light music, like
You're
light
kidding
FM.
me. So they're going to lose all that talk and that dramatic switch that No Karmazon made happen.
Well, they're on several markets as well. They're number one in Philly. They're number one in Buffalo. They're
So what
number one in
happens then?
Cleveland.
Where do they...
Detroit.
Detroit.
That's the only thing he's got wrong so far, really.
Yeah.
His facts are right. They did go to what a good call.
Yeah, well, he kind of knew that.
They were going to Light FM. I mean, after the thing that Blink didn't work, they went right to Light FM. He's right.
And we were on in Detroit.
They're number one in Buffalo. They're
So what
number one in
happens then?
Cleveland.
Where do they...
Detroit.
Let me think of another city,
Did they
Detroit.
move to another station and do their show from there? Because they were fired from Boston, were
Exactly.
they not?
They were also fired
Doing
from,
something.
But you know what? I spoke to them
Faking the
last
mayor's
night.
death. Is that correct, Mark?
Yes, for the mayor's death time.
Yeah, they made believe the mayor died.
Falsely.
But this is Opie and Anthony. I mean, these guys, they said the mayor was dead on April Fool's Day. I mean, come on. Who's going to really believe it?
Ultimately,
Everybody?
this just
Yeah,
how many
right.
people know it's April 1st?
Come on.
Ultimately, though, this shows you how far afield shock jocks have gotten. I mean, it used to be just Howard Stern just talking quasi-dirty, but now we're having sex in a church. The Catholic League, with 350 members, now says, you know what, since they got canned, we're not going to push for WNEW to lose their license.
Says, when does the Catholic League have 350 members?
Yeah.
Think he's off?
A little bit. I didn't hear that, actually.
Yeah. The Catholic League with its 350 members.
Now it says, you know what, since they got canned, we're not going to push for WNEW to lose their license. So they're stepping away from it.
Which is a fair shot, and they had every right to be mad. I mean, Bill Donahue is a good guy, and he had every right to be upset.
He's not a good guy.
Oh, what an ass. He's never talked to Bill Donahue.
Yeah, he did. He had him on the Fox show once, and he put a microphone on him. That's what Mark did. He told me. He goes, I had Bill Donahue sitting in the chair, and I clipped the little clip-on microphone on him and turned on the little battery pack, and that was it.
But he's not a good guy. He's an arrogant demagogue and a douche.
Wants to push his morality on everybody. Yeah, well, I sat down and spoke with him.
And he's a good guy.
Could you say check 1, 2? Thank you. That's the extent of our conversation.
Highest asshole he is.
I mean, Bill Donahue is a good guy, and he had every right to be upset.
Real quickly, did they ever talk about Opie and Anthony? Did they ever sit there and say, well, maybe this is going over the line, or was it just like, hey, let's push the envelope?
With that show, it happened so fast. In other words, it made the air, and it's like, you stepped in crap. Oh, God. What do? You're in it. And it was too late.
Can we bleep that out?
It was
all right. Mark, my last question, are they going to sue to get their jobs back? Because this is what they do. They might have a lawyer that...
Chances are they're in negotiations right now with another company, and we'll probably see them back on the air shortly.
So they'll take millions of dollars from CBS for leaving and go get another job someplace else.
Most likely that's exactly what's going to happen.
All right, Mark Walsh, thanks very much for giving us the exclusive details on the morning show.
Robin.
All right, thanks very much.
He's got to do a house impression.
He's such an ass. That was the best part. He goes, I know for a fact they're negotiating with another company. I'm sitting home going, really?
Really?
We're negotiating, huh?
Why don't you tell us who that is?
It only took 2 years and 3 months to get back on the radio,
Yeah,
Mark.
that's all.
We're negotiating a day after being canceled.
That's most likely what'll happen in the Twilight Zone.
Really?
Bob Eatman is currently on the right wing of an aircraft.
My brother's on the wing. You've got to open the door.
We just find that very funny because we know the guy. He was definitely trying to help us out,
Yeah. No, Mark is trying to help himself out. Mark loves attention. And when they said, hey, why don't you come on and talk about O&A? You think he was going to say, well, I really don't have that much information, or get me the suit and turn on the camera.
Get me the suit, get me the ride.
And I'm in.
Exactly.
All right.
Needless to say,
The entire thing was entirely exactly. You don't know what you're talking about. Exactly.
my entire interview was needless to say.
Entirely.
Exactly. Let me say exactly entirely.
Bill Donahue's a good guy.
Ugh. Hitler was really criticized. And no one really looks at all the good he did.
Mussolini was a great oil painter.
That's our old pal. We'll get him back on the air eventually.
He kept the trains on time. Exactly. You'd look at your watch and say, the train is supposed to come in at 9. Is it on time? Exactly. Exactly on time.
Oh, really? Do I need a schedule? Or
needless to say, needless to have schedule.
There's a platform full of frightened people, but needless to say, they'll all be hustled into the cars and moved along.
He's too much.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be hot on those cars. Exactly. Needless to say, they should be hosed down. Maybe give some chocolates to the people at the next station to hose them down.
They were indeed kept together when they had arrived at the family camps.
And before they got on, there was a discussion, don't go to Auschwitz.